Just waiting for Manny to show up in the invite.
Thank you, Jamie.
No problem.
I think we all here. Yes. All right. Welcome everyone. Today is April 6th, legislative session. Do we want to start with a pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, Trustee Fritchie,
Present.
Trustee White,
Present.
Trustee Lopez,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Quesada.
Present.
Okay, we have mayor and trustees announcements.
I don't have anything right now, but I'm sure my colleagues have some.
I believe that the Little League kickoff parade is this Saturday at 9. So that should always a lot of fun, always kind of, a tradition, one of those things. My kids marched in it many years ago. So it's just one of those things that happens every year. I'm not sure if it happened last year, but it's just always a really sort of fun, all-American thing to do and makes you feel good. So I'm planning to be there and march with them.
Great, thank you, Dana. Anyone else?
I'll go. Good evening, everyone. I hope to also join you at that event, Dana. This week we had the Civilian Police Complaint Review Board that met on Tuesday. There were no complaints to review, and it was a relatively short meeting, but there's also tomorrow a meeting of the Police Reform Advisory Committee, and they're going to be finalizing recommendations to present to the Board of Trustees later this month. And so we'll be receiving those first in our email so that we can have time to read through them in detail, and then they'll be presenting them to us, and we'll be able to discuss it during an upcoming work session. But that's all there is to it.
Okay, thank you, Omar. Very helpful. Bob? No?
I'm good. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Bob. And I guess maybe I do have an announcement, and maybe Karen, you may want to elaborate if you want. We actually, Karen, Michael, and the mayor and myself have met at least several times for the past couple of weeks in regards to the youth center and the board. And I think we have almost concluded all the interviews. And hopefully for the next 2 weeks from now, we're going to be making some suggestions and bringing in front of the board our suggestions in regards to that. And I'm actually excited because they're great candidates so far. It's a great group of people. I'm really, really excited about what is going to happen with the youth center and how much exciting things are going to happen with that. But maybe we just give them a little bit of what we have so far. Karen, it's up to you. If not, we'll wait 2 weeks from now when the mayor's back, and then she can elaborate more into that. But I really don't have anything else right now. So Martha, please.
Okay, administrative reports, Village Manager Karen DeTore.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Deputy Clerk. Just to follow up on what the Deputy Mayor was saying is that we are moving forward, selecting candidates for the youth advisory board for the Youth Bureau. It is quite exciting. I think we now have one more interview yet left. We did have somebody who was not able to kind of work out on the schedule, but we will be able to do that. And we have gotten a lot of different people from the community, from all walks of the community, great resumes, and I think we'll be able to put forth a really good board. So when the mayor gets back, we'll be going through that, and that will come to a board session where people will be appointed. So you'll all be informed, as will the public, and a lot of great programs, more importantly for the Youth Bureau, on track for spring and the summer. So we're excited about that. Some other quick announcements, and then we have our friends from Sustainable Westchester that we're going to bring over for a presentation. But first, I wanted to let you know that the internal training for the Passport Parking app took place this afternoon, and staff is busy working on signage and decals that will be installed over the next week. And we're aiming to launch the parking app in mid-April, but we want to ensure that everyone knows exactly how to use this new payment option prior to launch day. So we will be, keeping your eyes out for the mayor's message and social media pages and other information on how to download the app, where it can be used, and the few easy steps you need to use it instead of quarters. But if you still want to use quarters, they'll be okay too. And our next DRI local planning committee meeting will be held tomorrow from 12 to 2 p.m. and that's a public meeting. So you're all invited to Zoom in, and you can get that information on our website. And our next DRI public meeting will be held on Saturday, April 30th at 12 p.m. at the community center. That will be an in-person meeting, and you'll get to review the projects that have been put forth and provide your input. So we hope for a lot of response from the public on that day, but we will also have virtual opportunities as well if we can't make it, and we may have some other things coming up as well. We'll let you know as we schedule them. During this phase of the DRI planning, we will be really asking for community input on all the projects that have been submitted by the village, as well as other project sponsors. So your input is critically important to making sure that we use that $10 million as wisely as possible. We're also very pleased to invite the community to join the Village of Awning to learn more about Project Mover and share their input. Project Mover intends to put electric bikes in reach of every Awning resident and visitor, providing a viable mobility option that will benefit people who do not wish to drive, who don't find it economic to drive, or need a quick and fun way to get around the village. We will be hosting a virtual community meeting via Zoom on Monday, April 11th. From 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. and we welcome residents and business owners to attend. And at the meeting, we will discuss the following topics: the project goals and desired outcomes, the program features, and opportunities to get involved. We're gearing up for our first in-person event season too, following 2 years of the pandemic. And we have plans for Green Awning's Earth Day Festival on April 23rd, the Village Fair on June 11th, and the Juneteenth celebration on June 19th at Lewis Hingle Park. So a lot of good things going on in Awning. Good to see everybody out and about. With that, I would like to bring over, Jamie, can you bring over Dan Welsh and Paul Presiandu from the audience?
Dan and
They
Paul
are
have
not here
joined.
yet.
They're
They
not
are
here
not
yet.
here yet.
No.
Okay, so why don't we go on with other reports, and then hopefully they'll be here by then.
Okay, so Corporation Counsel Stuart Kahan.
I feel I should have brought my tap shoes, but we have a zoning board of appeals meeting on Tuesday. And again, if anyone wants to watch, it is available remotely. All of the agenda items are on there, and along with all the documents that have been submitted. And on a personal note, I just want to thank Amanda Brosey, who for the past 2 years has served as basically our land use counsel through the firm of McCullough, Goldberger and Stout. She is a senior associate at that firm. Amanda will be leaving that firm within the next few days and is moving out of state. So want to wish her the very best and thank her for all of the help that she has provided over these 2+ years with regard to land use. I know that I speak for both the chairs of the zoning board, planning board, and for our planner, Jaime Martinez, to all wish Amanda the best of luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stuart. Martha?
Are we going to the special presentation now?
Yes, I believe Dan is here. So I am going to let Manny introduce him, and then he will begin.
Okay, thank you, Jamie. Good evening, board, deputy mayor. I would like to invite someone who needs no introduction. You've definitely heard from him before, Dan Welsh of Sustainable Westchester. Dan is going to be here tonight to speak to us about one of our favorite topics, the Community Choice Aggregation Program, CCA. We were able to hop on a meeting with Sustainable Westchester a couple days ago, where they sort of gave us a sneak peek into what they're going to be presenting to you this evening, basically having to do with a potential extension to our contract under the Community Choice Aggregation Program. We're coming off of an 18-month agreement now, and as everyone here knows, the prices of these commodities have been quite volatile over the past couple months. So Dan, I will turn it over to you to take it from there.
Great. Thank you very much. And I'll just go right to the presentation because it's going to talk about all of that. Yes, you folks are all familiar at this point, so I won't belabor sort of the basics. You know, we're up to 29 communities now participating, with Yonkers and Tuckahoe joining last year. So we really have some heft around the state as well. And the impact is significant. We're over 1 million tons now of carbon dioxide equivalent mitigation, and the village of Awning has a nice chunk of that as well. This is kind of just a real quick snapshot of like where we are with rates and all that. And you know, we're in the middle of a contract now which ends on June 30th. It's been going since January 1st of last year, and the rates are really favorable because they were contracted in an absolutely another era energy market wise. You know, the auction was actually the end of 2020. So our renewable rates at 7.41 cents, and that has enabled people to ride through some of the craziness that's been going on, and people who are in Con Ed supply had some painful awakenings. And I always want to point out that we also have the standard supply, so that's a little bit cheaper. And if that's the place where people need to be, then we're always happy to help people to switch into that. And below it is the graph versions of what you folks have seen now and again, and we always keep it updated on the website. You'll see that big spike in January. You also see quite a drop for March. That March drop does not represent like the actual energy market movements. There is a -6 cents adjustment factor that Con Ed applied. There's always adjustment factors that add to the energy price, but they've ranged from -2 to +2 cents for the past, since we started this program in 2016. This is the biggest adjustment we've ever seen. We're not sure what that was about, you know, whether it was a response to a lot of yelling and screaming or something, but they're supposed to be doing the energy as essentially a pass-through. So we expect it to pop back up. This is another kind of view of how we've been doing over time, and I think this is like an easy way to think about it, and that's like how much more or less per kilowatt hour that people will be paying relative to Con Ed. And it's done, this is a simple unweighted flat average, so we just took the Con Ed price to compare, averaged our rates over time for that period, and then take the difference. So you see on the long term from the very start, if you're in the renewable energy supply, you're paying about 1/4 cent more per kilowatt hour for that 100% green supply at a fixed price. So it's a fraction of a penny more. And of course, in this current contract, again, we've been out ahead quite nicely. So you're actually 0.38 cents better in the program than you were in Con Ed. And of course, if you did switch to the standard, you're even doing a little bit better. So what this really demonstrates to us is that our goal of trying to increase the uptake of renewable energy in the most economically effective way possible has been demonstrated through these results. Setting the stage for your deliberations about the participation in the next rounds. We want to highlight what we think is the highlight of this coming year, which is the work we're doing to upgrade and enhance our procurement strategies with an eye to increasing the amount of competition that we have participating in those auctions. And at the same time, building new tools that are going to serve us for developments in the future that we're sure to want to do. And all of that to, again, drive the mission, which is to drive more renewables and make that transition to renewable energy. And how we do that, this is a representation, and there's too many boxes here. Basically, what this reduces to is we buy through ESCOs today, right? In New York State, the right to have a relationship with the retail customer under the way the industry is structured in New York State, that's either a utility or an energy service company, right? So then, you know, under our normal circumstances, we're going out and calling those ESCOs to come to our bids, and they are the suppliers. What we've come up with in order to expand the number of participants, and we've actually had a reduction in the number, because it's not just any ESCO that's qualified to supply a large aggregation like ours. So we've lost a couple of interesting ESCOs, and to juice things up, we want to go directly into the wholesale market, which normally we can't do, but we've got a firm that's ready to step in and take a wholesale bid and essentially wrap it in the rest of the services that are needed to create a qualified ESCO bid. That's different grid ancillary services, the kind of the retail operation side of things, and put in a wrapper called sleeving, and it ends up being a supply that we can consume in the same way we would consume a retail supply. So that means we can bring some of these big wholesale people who don't normally deal in this stuff to our market. We actually brought this to the Department of Public Service. Took them a while to really take a liking to it, because at first they thought we were like going to directly and supplying, you know, into the wholesale market, and that was what we were doing. We said no. Ultimately, it still translates to an ESCO supply. So they did approve us for this. So in order to do this, and this is just all, again, to say, once we've done that, we will then, on the same auction day, we'll be taking the retail bids in one round, and then another round we'll be taking the wholesale bids. And we can add the known price of the sleeving cost to those wholesale bids and take the best of all of those. And if the hybrid structure beats the retail bids, we've got a cheaper price. So again, that's our goal for the year, to put this together for later in the year. And also, as I said, it's a structure that we have designs for long-term, because think about leveraging the purchasing volume that we have to, say, do direct deals with people who want to build new wind farms or new solar farms in upstate New York. You would do the same thing, right? You could commit your load, but you'd have to wrap it in this sleeve in order for it to actually be part of the supply. So we're gonna, by doing this, we enhance the upcoming auction with, you know, more competitively, but we also start to build those tools for that future. So in order to do this, we're looking first for a little time to create this and build the new RFPs and the sleeving arrangements, and also to continue to beat the bush for participants in the auction, both the retailers and these wholesalers. But importantly, it's also about trying to get a little bit beyond where we are today, which is, again, a crazy energy market. If you go out today for those bids, you're pricing in a lot of that uncertainty, right? Because people just don't know where things are going. So it's our feeling that pushing out not only gives us time for this new auction, but potentially, and again, who knows what world events are going to bring us months from now, but at least we have a chance that things will stabilize and some of that premium will move away. So we did get approval for doing an extension like this. Anytime we do kind of significant changes to what we're doing in our operations, we have to submit it to the Department of Public Service. They did approve up to 6 months. Right now, we're looking around 5, but the MOU allows for up to 6 months. And again, we have to be clear about this. The pricing is going to be nothing like our old pricing because of what's going on. There's no way around that. So in order to execute this all, we've got kind of a 2-stage schedule for the year. And the first, this near term, is all about putting together the extension, the MOU associated with that. And then, of course, our contract ending in June 30th means, the schedule is driven backwards by that. You have the mailing, you have the 30-day opt-out mailing. We really need to pull everything together around the middle of April in order to meet all that part of the schedule. And then the second half of the year is then focused on the new full auction with these enhancements to it. And that would see us in auction around August or so at the 5-month level. And again, it could be plus minus a month when we finally see where the numbers are coming out. And there would be activity ahead of that, again, where we'd come to you and give you updates on what's going on. But right now, the focus again is on this MOU. And again, just to provide some orientation, natural gas, that's what's driving the market. If we look at what it's done since our original contract, we've had an increase of about 100%, actually more on the natural gas futures. Natural gas, or the energy, being about 50% of the ultimate retail price. You could do a really crude calculation and say, well, that brings the raw energy without the RECs to about 10 cents level now at doubling that price to actually continue to go up. And last year was the record year for natural gas exports. It built more terminal facilities, and the pricing overseas, Europe and Asia, is many multiples what it is here in the United States. And now, of course, with world events, at the national level, we have this commitment to even increase that even more. So that's going to be continued pressure. Again, we're not prognosticators beyond reading the news that anybody can read in that sense, and we do get advice from our auction services company. So that's not to say that a month from now some earth-shaking event doesn't change that, but these are what we're looking at right now in terms of those inputs. And also important to understand that the renewable energy certificate pricing has been going up. Part of that is just demand, and that's kind of a good thing. CCAs are coming up around the state, and even some of the ESCOs are moving more towards the renewable energy supply. Some of that's because they have more leeway in their marketing with that. But anyway, we've seen that already in our most recent contracts for NYSEG and Yonkers. The price has been up to $0.015, and it's even nudged up a little more. I had at 1.82 here. It actually came back down to 1.72. So anyway, that's going up since our last contract. Again, that's partially just demand. It's also the state itself getting involved and propping up those prices, which sounds funny, but the reason they're doing that is because there was actually what they call leakage out mostly into Massachusetts, where their renewable energy tiers are priced much higher, and there's arbitrage that could happen. So the state actually has done auction solicitations to help push those prices up as well. So that's just another factor that's out there. And we're seeing this if we go out and look at what the ESCOs are offering. So this is the New York State's Power to Choose website. And there's similar basis, no cancellation fees, and 100% renewable energy. it's in the 13 cents area. And we also, that information sometimes tends to be stale. So we've gone to some of the actual ESCO sites, and it's reinforcing that's about where it is. So this then is the culmination. This is where we've been aggregating indicative pricing week after week. And you can see, we're focused on this kind of 5-month-ish time period. We have the longer months here just for kind of reference value, but you can see how, like, if you go out further, people are getting scared and it's much more expensive. But it's been going up steadily. At the time of the chief electeds meeting that we had the other day, we were looking at these numbers highlighted in yellow, which gave us a total of 11.76 cents. And that's what we use as our discussion medium. Since then, we've had another round of indicatives, and you can see down here at the bottom that it's actually pushed it up a little bit over 12, which is kind of what we were fearing. So we did propose at the time, and this is what's in your MOU, 12.5 cents to leave a little bit of a buffer because of these movements. And we do have experience with trying to get a little bit too clever and too accurate with this. Last year in NYSEG, we pinned it at just where the indicatives were. And right after we got everybody signed up on the MOUs, the price took a run and the MOUs were invalid. We had to make a whole other round, and we weren't able to stay on schedule. We ended up like dropping everybody and having to start up again in 3 months. And, it's just not an ideal, it's a situation you want to avoid if you can, and so that, obviously communications challenges. And we actually had, a significant number of people were like, because at the time, that was when the rates were going up, and everybody was like, hey, what happened to Westchester Power, when we need you. So trying to avoid that, we leave that little buffer in there. At the same time, it's about the rates, it's about the detail, but it's also about looking at, standing back and the value of the rates, not only for, the rate at the time, but as a kind of cap rather than you're locked in, because of the ability for people to opt out at any time. It's really a price which says you never have to pay more than this, right? But you always have that as an option. And of course, again, people can opt down to the standard supply, which can, if for some people is a better place to be for whatever reason then we're happy to help them move. But all of that, again, in the service of continuity, stable rate options. And again, it's good to remember that the program serves as kind of a glue for a lot of the other programming that we do, because your electrification on, for heat pumps and transportation all wants you to have a green underlying supply for it to really be maximized. And, further, the community solar program that we're converting into an opt-out program that will start first with the low-income customers. It all helps to glue it together. So that's kind of the backdrop for the MOU action that we're bringing to you, and you have in your hands now, along with the associated extension agreement, which is a couple pages, but the primary role of which is resetting those rates and setting the time period for that. And that's an exhibit to the MOU. You're not signing that per se now. You're just signing the MOU, which says you're going to sign the agreement if we get the rates within that criteria. So that's it in pretty quick. And I'm sorry it's a lot of information quick, but welcome for anybody to any questions or anything. I'm here for you. Everyone is stunned.
Yeah, I did just want to mention to the board, just as a reminder, that you do have 2 resolutions regarding this topic later on in the agenda. So one of them is about the MOU, as Dan explained, and then another is about the extension.
Thank you, Maddie. Thank you, Dan. It's always good to see that how do we save money for our residents. Sure. I have a few questions, but I'm not sure if anybody else on my colleagues have any questions right now for you. Okay.
Actually, I have a question. The solar panels at Maryknoll that were put up, is that energy available to the village that those panels produce?
Okay, that's a great question because it sort of talks about the general question of community solar
Right.
in general, generically. And so what happens with a project like that when it's done in the community solar format, as you know, the residents can subscribe to that project. And for them, it appears on their bill as a monetary credit. So it's kind of a virtual thing that is separate from the supply program, but it's an additional benefit, and it helps to drive more impactful, new renewable energy. So it's a great combination. As to, the question of whether that energy goes to you, there's kind of two elements to that. One is the physics element, which just says electrons go wherever the potential tells them to go. So nobody knows where a given electron is going per se. That's not very useful though in a sense. The other sense is that buying and selling power is kind of about who you're paying, to put the power in the grid. In the case of a project like that, the project developers get paid through Con Ed, through special tier 1 rates, and they get a significant REC component in that. That REC is socialized, comes back into your Con Ed bill as part of the system's benefit charge and things like that. So it's actually, thinking about it, there's like this financial way to think about it. There's the physics way, and then there's, what does it mean to the customer? In this case, it's bringing customers in so that they're a part of making this happen, and they get a benefit as a kind of a compensation for doing that. And it's a structure that's helped to drive a lot of new renewable energy. So I'm sorry, that's a little bit, there's a lot going on in that, but it's often not as simple as it seems.
I had a feeling.
Thank you, Dana. Anyone else? Okay.
I was going to say it might be helpful if we stop with the screen sharing.
You can leave it there for 1 minute.
Oh, okay.
Because it's kind of sort of related to the price issue, not to exceed the 12.5 kilowatts. So what does that actually mean at the end of the day? So at the end of the year, it's great that 2 municipalities have added to the package, sure. From 2016, more or less, how many more, what is the percentage that has increased since the start of from this program itself?
Percent increase of the Westchester Power pricing?
Yeah.
So let's go back then perhaps to this historical graph.
Yep.
Maybe this will tell us. And I'm not sure I can convert all of this kind of to a percent, but you'll see the horizontal fixed lines are the Westchester Power pricing. That's been pretty steady. Like our very first contract, I think we were at about 8 cents roughly. Let me see, or a little bit 7.7, and then we were at 8.2, and this past contract is 7.4. So it's all been in that kind of 7
range.
Right.
So on 2023, pretty much when we kind of go back, so that graphic is going to increase a little bit more than what we have. Correct?
I mean, we're certainly going to see a jog up in our Westchester Power rates because of everything that's going on here. And we're, of course, I always have to give a caveat that we have no way of guaranteeing we know where Con Ed is going to be, because they don't publish their rates and it's based on the market. But given the inputs that we know about, the pricing of the energy is going up. So their rates are likely to be higher too. And then, where will the two end up through this period? I can't tell you for sure, but it's always kind of the same decision. It's trying to figure out, okay, well, I think there's a value to not being subjected to whatever comes down, out of the market, and knowing where I'm going to be, or I'm going to sort of take my chances with Con Ed, or I think that's a better place to be. But nobody can tell you they know what the difference is going to be going forward.
Sure.
That's
that's helpful to see in a graphic. That's why I had asked to kind of leave it there for now.
Sure.
Look, I'm in favor of this, obviously, and I think since 2016, since we started this, we found this to be a great program to help not just Austin, but just to becoming more green in different ways. And I know sometimes is weird to see the difference of the rates itself, but I think it helps our planet and it helps our community at large. I guess one last question, and with that one, I think we can move forward, is when someone wants to come out of the program, let's say it's a resident, it doesn't matter where, sure, can they opt back in at some point of time in a few months and say, you know what, the rates in Con Ed just went crazy, can they back into the system itself?
Yes. That's again something that we have purposely maintained as a key consumer-friendly feature of the program. People can come back in. We would urge them not to treat it like day trading, but yeah, if like in this past period, we had lots of people who had either opted out before or they were in an ESCO, and they had, this happens all the time, where people are like, they've been in an ESCO and they didn't even realize that, it's been there for like 4 years on their bill, and they just not really paying attention. And then all of a sudden they're like, wait, I'm paying what? And then they call us up and opt in. So yeah, people can come in at any time. If they've opted out before, like in the past, we will not include them in the mailing for the automatic re-enrollment if you don't take action. We will assume that they've opted out and they want to stay out. They would have to contact us to come back in, and and that happens.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you then for that explanation.
Yep.
I don't have any additional questions, so Karen, I guess it's all yours, Karen or Maddie. Thank you then again.
Okay. Oops. You're muted. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Sorry, Evans. Thank you, Dan. So,
Are we gonna stop sharing the screen?
Yeah, I can do that now if we're.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ready.
thank you, please.
You let me know if that's if you're taking this up, later on, and then I will leave you to your business. If you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer those as you choose.
okay,
You're
great.
my
Thank
you're my
you so
second
much.
meeting tonight. I'm off to Mamaroneck after this. I feel like the old, this would be what the old movie was like. If this is Tuesday, it's Belgium. I'm like, if this is 8 o'clock, it's Mamaroneck now. But
I hope they're all Zoom meetings.
I was going to say, travel safe.
I'd be in trouble. I'd also be in trouble because I just got over COVID.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I was like, I'm boosted and everything, and it was not that bad. I had one day that was like, but it's out there, folks. Take care of yourselves. Continue to, if you have a chance to mask, just do it. Certainly if you're like on a train or something. But anyway, that's my little tip for the day.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay. Take care, everybody. Thank you very much.
Have a
Hi,
good night.
Dan. Thank you.
Okay. Next we have Police Chief Kevin Sylvester. He's not here today, so we have Lieutenant Aaron Zimmerman.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I guess not too much to report. This past week, we had a missing person that was found due to some good police work. It was believed to be a vulnerable person, but all was safe. And she was found to be, well. Earlier in the month, we had a nice arrest that minor traffic infraction that resulted in a gun arrest, a weapons offense. Person that committed the traffic infraction was found to be in possession of a loaded handgun. That worked out very nicely and safely for all the police officers involved. We're kicking off some training with some officers at the Officer Traffic Safety Conference up in Syracuse right now. That's actually where the chief is with one of our sergeants. And other than that, things are looking good. That's all I have.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
Is there anybody here who would like to make an organizational announcement? If so, please raise your virtual hand. Seeing no one. Is there anybody here who would like to make a public comment on any of the agenda items tonight? If so, please raise your virtual hand. Seeing no one, moving to the village board resolutions. Approval of minutes, March 16th, 2022. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby approves the minutes of the March 16, 2022 regular meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, I think any comments? Thank you, Martha. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Approval of minutes, March 28th, 2022. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby approves the minutes of the March 28th, 2022 special meeting as presented.
Any comments? Oh, sorry.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
I'll get it right. Any
Okay, we
comments?
get it. We have a bunch left.
Thanks.
Okay.
Actually, I was not present. I'm not sure if everybody else was there, and if not, we may not have a quorum for this. Was everybody else present on this meeting?
No, you don't have a quorum. You're gonna have to come back.
Yeah, we're gonna have to hold this for next 2 weeks, or maybe next week, if anything.
Okay, let me just lay it. Okay, approval of voucher detail, April 6, 2022. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby approves the voucher detail report dated April 6, 2022 in the amount of $761,857.50.
So moved.
Second.
I'm sorry, Martha, did you need a motion to table the prior resolution?
Move to table.
Stuart, we did need one to table the resolution B.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay, so table it. Okay, so I need a second and a motion to table resolution B.
And no comments, I'm assuming? All right, go ahead,
Then-
Martha.
Okay, all those in favor for the voucher detail?
Aye.
Hold on, there's no comments on the voucher detail. So as always, it's a pleasure doing this. Thank you, Dell and our staff. So I don't have any additional comments, so we can vote on it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay. Authorizing the village manager to sign a memorandum of understanding with Sustainable Westchester Incorporated for participation in the short-term power extension contract for communities in the Con Edison service territory. Whereas the Village of Austin adopted legal legislation to enable community choice aggregation, CCA, Village of Austin Code Chapter 10. And whereas the current electrical service agreement, ESA, for the Sustainable Westchester CCA program terminates on June 30th, 2022. And whereas the village will also continue to engage the services of Sustainable Westchester Incorporated as a program manager for CCA and the operation and maintenance of the program. Now therefore be it resolved that upon review by the Corporation Council, the village manager is authorized to sign a memorandum of understanding MOU with Sustainable Westchester Incorporated, 40 Green Street, Mount Kisco, New York, 10549 for participation in the short-term Westchester Power Extension contract for communities in the Con Edison service territory. And be further resolved that the purpose of the MOU is to A, establish the village's participation in the CCA program to be managed by Sustainable Westchester Incorporated under the 2022 Extension Electric Service Agreement, ESA. B, to affirm that the village and Sustainable Westchester Incorporated agree to adhere to the terms and conditions of the 2022 Extension ESA in the event the 2022 Extension ESA is executed. And C, to affirm that the village and Sustainable Westchester Incorporated agree to execute the 2022 Extension ESA subject to the conditions of review and approval outlined in the memorandum of understanding. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Any comments from the board? No comments? All those
All
in
those
favor?
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Authorizing the village manager to sign the 22 extension to the competitive electric service agreement, whereas in October 2020, the village of Austin entered into an electric service agreement, ESA, with Sustainable Westchester program manager and Constellation New Energy Incorporated, competitive supplier. And whereas pursuant to section 2.1 of the ESA, competitive supplier is hereby granted the exclusive right to be the default provider of firm full requirements power supply to participating consumers pursuant to the terms of this ESA. And whereas the ESA is scheduled to terminate after each participating customer's first meter reading after June 30th, 2020. And whereas the village, Sustainable Westchester, and Constellation New Energy Incorporated have agreed to extend the 2021 ESA with amendments pursuant to section 4.4 of the ESA. Now therefore be it resolved that the village manager is authorized to sign the agreement to extend the competitive electric service agreement with Sustainable Westchester, 40 Green Street, Mount Kisco, New York, 10549, with Constellation New Energy Incorporated, 101 Louisiana Street, Suite 2300, Whitson, Texas, 77002. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments from the board? No comments?
All those in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? Okay. Resolution denying February 14th, 2022 application by Anita Lounge Incorporated, 12 Corton Avenue, Austin, New York, for a cabaret license. Whereas pursuant to chapters 100 and 171 of the Code of the Village of Austin Code, by application dated February 14th, 2022, the authorized representative of the business, Anita Lounge Incorporated, 12 Corton Avenue, Austin, New York, presented an application to the village clerk as licensing officer for a cabaret license for DJ music. And whereas on January 19, 2022, the Board of Trustees denied the previous application by Anita Lounge Incorporated for a cabaret license for 2022. And whereas pursuant to section 100-4 of the code, the village clerk referred to the February 14, 2022 application to the chief of police for full investigation as to the truth of the statements contained therein and as to any or all other matters which might tend to aid in determining whether or not such an application should be granted. And whereas the village clerk also referred the February 14th, 2022 application to the village building inspector to inspect the premise of the cabaret and to advise of any violations of the New York State Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code and Village Code were observed. And whereas pursuant to section 100-5 of the code, the police department submitted to the village clerk a blotter log report from January 1st, 2019 through March 8th, 2022. And whereas an inspection of the premises was performed on February 25th, 2022, and that inspection revealed no violations. And whereas pursuant to section 100-6 of the code, the village clerk referred the application to the Board of Trustees, which board is responsible for determining whether the cabaret license should be granted or denied. And whereas the Board of Trustees at the March 23rd, 2022 work session discussed and reviewed the application here from the Chief of Police, Corporation Counsel, and Amaury Colado, the owner of the applicant. And now therefore be it resolved that the February 14th, 2022 application by Anita Lounge Incorporated, 12 Corton Avenue, Austin, New York, for a cabaret license for 2022 is denied. And be it further resolved that pursuant to Village Code Section 171-13, the village clerk shall refund all fees paid in advance for the cabaret license application. And be it further resolved that representatives from Señorita Lounge Incorporated should contact the Austin Police Department to review ways to reduce the number and types of reported incidents at the location. Do I have a motion?
I move we accept the resolution.
No comments?
We need a second.
Dana, you muted.
Sorry, second.
Okay.
Basically, I'm not done. But this is voting on, this is not get granted. This is like more of a probation thing, or just a probationary thing? Or if this is, they got to come back to us. If I remember correctly, they're coming back in 6 months, I believe.
Well, it's an outright denial. Since the code does not have a 6-month provision in there, that's why the last provision in there is that they need to contact the Awning police to deal with basically how to clean up their act, so to speak. And then when that happens, they can come back.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Approval of awning permit for MDY Realty Corp. 2325 Spring Street. Resolved that pursuant to Village of Awning Code Section 229-5, the Village of Awning Board of Trustees approves the application by Angela Rentrolis on behalf of the MDY Realty Corp. 23-25 Spring Street, 89.19-4-88 for the installation of awnings in accord with the application dated March 13th, 2022, and received by the Village of Awning Building Department on March 21st, 2022. Do I have a motion?
I move we accept the approval of the awning permit.
Second?
Comments on the board?
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm in favor.
Opposed? Okay. Finance establishment of 2022 big belly receptacles from contingency, whereas village management wishes to establish a capital project to purchase 5 HC5/SC 5.5 double stations and liners not to exceed $44,885 to be financed by a transfer from general fund contingency. Now therefore be it resolved, capital projects and capital project budgets are established as follows. Do I have a motion?
I move to establish the big belly receptacles.
I second that.
Any comments on the board?
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Reappointment of Cheryl Weeks to the Landlord Tenant Relations Council. Resolved that Cheryl Weeks is reappointed to the Landlord Tenant Relations Council, neither tenant nor landlord category, for a 2-year term from January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any comments?
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And then I believe the following resolution.
Martha, thank you. Folks, I'm going to ask that Resolution J be tabled until the 20th. I'm waiting for some documentation from the County Board of Elections. So if we could just have a motion to table J, I would appreciate it.
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Sorry, Martha.
okay. And then Fire Department appointment, Washington Hook and Ladder Company number 2, resolved that upon the recommendation of the Fire Chief Berenice Isidoro, Austin, New York, was elected an active member of Washington Hook and Ladder Company number 2 for interior firefighting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, is there any continuing business of the board?
Not on my end.
Is there new business of the board?
I don't see anything, Martha.
And is there anybody here who would like to address the board on issues not related to the agenda, but of relevance to the common good of the village? Okay, seeing no one. Is there going to be any executive session tonight?
With regard to a matter of real property, Martha, yes.
No property. Okay, so then can I have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting to executive session for real property?
I move to adjourn.
Second?
Any comments? No comments, Martha?
Okay,
Manny, you're a legend.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Thanks, everyone. Thank you for the registration. Actually, it was an hour. All right. I was a few minutes late. Our mayor is gonna, anyway, thanks, everyone. See you next week at a work session at April 13. Holy cannolis. We're in April already. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.